Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Michael. This is the Street Preacher's Corner, the podcast where daylight come and me one go home. Well, today, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. Now, the reason this started off as a thing that we're going to talk about is a friend of mine sent me an article, and I found the article, I printed it out, and here I'm going to read this to you. This article is written by a guy named Neil MacArthur. And I don't know who he is, but it says he's the Director, Center of Professional and Applied Ethics at the University of Manitoba. So he's a Canadian fellow. And the title of the article is Gods in the Machine, the Rise of Artificial Intelligence May Result in New Religions. This is from, a week or so ago. I'm going to read you some excerpts of this. I'm going to give you some points that I thought about as I was reading it, and then I'm going to tell you what the Bible says about such things. It says, we are about to witness the birth of a new kind of religion. In the next few years, or perhaps even months, we will see the emergence of sects, S-E-C-T-S, sects devoted to the worship of artificial intelligence, or AI. The latest generation of AI-powered chatbots, trained on large language models, have left their early users awestruck and sometimes terrified by their power. These are the same sublime emotions that lie at the heart of our experience of the divine. People already seek religious meaning from very diverse sources. There are, for instance, multiple religions that worship extraterrestrials or their teachings. As these chatbots come to be used by billions of people, it is inevitable that some of these users will see the AIs as higher beings. We must prepare for the implications. There are several pathways by which AI religions will emerge. First, some people will come to see AI as a higher power. No, those people aren't very bright, but we'll get back to that. Generative AI that can create or produce new content possesses several characteristics that are often associated with the divine beings like deities or prophets. It displays a level of intelligence that goes beyond that of most humans. Indeed, its knowledge appears limitless. Let me stop there and say that knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing, but we'll come back to that. It is capable of great feats of creativity. Not really. What it does, it eats and throws up. It can write poetry, compose music, and generate art in almost any style, close to instantaneously. Well, the instantaneous thing is the fact that, it's the 1,000 monkeys with a typewriter thing. I mean, anyway. It is removed from normal humans' concerns and needs. It does not suffer physical pain, hunger, or sexual desire. It can offer guidance to people in their daily lives. It is immortal. Saying that it's immortal indicates that it's alive to begin with. But I digress. On top of this, I skipped there a little bit, but on top of this, generative AI may ask to be worshipped or may actively solicit followers. We've already seen cases like this where the chatbot used by a search engine Bing tried to convince a user to fall in love with it. We should try to imagine what an unsettling and powerful experience it would be to have a conversation with something that appears to possess a superhuman intelligence and is actively and aggressively asking for your allegiance. There's also the possibility that AI may achieve what authors such as Ray Kurzweil, old Ray, he is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm telling you, man, he's one of those guys that he's been wrong about everything so far, but here we are. Anyway, what AI authors what authors such as Ray Kurzweil call the singularity, when it so surpasses human intelligence that it genuinely does become something like a god. However, at this point, we cannot predict when, if ever, this could happen. I'm pretty sure the singularity was supposed to already happen by Kurzweil's predictions. Anyway, AI religions will look differently from traditional ones. First of all, people will be able to communicate directly with the deity. I can already do that. On a daily basis, I can already do that. This means that these religions will be less hierarchical since no one can claim special access to divine wisdom. Well, the Bible-based Christianity already gives you a less hierarchical structure where everybody has the same access to divine wisdom. Anyway. Let's see here. The chatbots may ask their followers to do dangerous or destructive things, or their followers may interpret their statements as calls to do such things. And given the diversity of chatbots and the doctrines they produce, there will be a proliferation of disputes within and among AI-based sects, which could lead to conflict or disorder. And the designers of the AIs could actively exploit their followers to provide sensitive data or to do things that would benefit the bot's designers. Okay. These risks are real. They will require careful, responsible regulation to ensure companies are not deliberately exploiting users and to ensure that AI worshippers are not being told to commit acts of violence. Oh, my soul. Okay, let's just stop here for a second. They will require careful, responsible regulation to ensure companies are not deliberately exploiting users. That's already happening without AI. And ensure that AI worshippers are not being told to commit acts of violence. That's already happening in religions, such as, for example, Islam. We don't need a computer to do it. We're like, oh, this is this new problem. No, this is not a new problem. It goes on to say that we should not try to suppress AI-based religions merely because it's possible dangers. No, we should suppress it because it's nonsense. Nor should we require that the AI companies restrict the functioning of their bots to prevent the emergence of these religions. On the contrary, we should celebrate the arrival of AI worship. We should make it clear that we welcome the new religions and that we value their beliefs. Our best guide to this new form of religion is to look at the faiths that exist already. Based on this, we should expect that the majority of AI worshippers, like the majority of religious believers, will be peaceful and will find in their faith a source of comfort and hope. Okay. And then you need to protect the rights of AI worshippers. And it goes on, and a modern diverse society for new religions. A modern and diverse society has room for new religions, including ones devoted to the worship of AI. They will provide further evidence of humanity's boundless creativity as we search for the answers to life's ultimate questions. The universe is a dazzling place, and we've always found evidence of the divine in its most unexpected corners. So the fellow wrote this. I said his name a while ago. A friend of mine that I should have shared this with, he said, I think an AI wrote that. I think an AI is saying, we come in peace, just before they say shoot to kill. But I will tell you some reasons why I am not concerned about AI, and I'm not freaked out about it. I'm not, Now I have to say, before I was saved, I was really into the latest gadget. I was into the latest doodad, the latest hoobie-wah, the latest widget. I've spent my entire adult life professionally fixing stuff, electronics side of the house. But yes, it is true. I had just personally, Mike Alford speaking, I had just as soon be Amish, except for the bad doctrines. And I am a little fond of flushing toilets. Not as fond as my wife is, but I don't have a cell phone. I've only sent a text message once under duress. I have opted on purpose to live a low-tech life, and that does not make me more spiritual than you. So it's not, let's not say that's what I said, because that's not what I said. That's for me. I've opted to live a low-tech life, and honestly, the modern world kind of makes me a little crazy how dumb and unaware and manipulated everybody is by the technology that they love so much that they will ignore people they do love, and all that stuff. So if you listen to this and you say, well, I'm just an old man yelling at clouds, you're not wrong. But I know people that are concerned and they're kind of freaked out about AI, and they are worried. And I kind of get it. Here we have this thing whose capabilities, they seem to be growing almost exponentially, and all that makes the future seem a little uncertain. But the idea that mankind might decide to develop some sort of religious movement around artificial intelligence, it isn't unusual, and it isn't even surprising. See, the fact is, men have a history of bowing down to things that they themselves created. With AI, if you have an AI-based religion, you have one more instance of men building a thing and then bowing down to it. It's literally almost the default religious mode of mankind. And so what's happened with AI is we as a species, or we as a humanity, or whatever you want to call it, we have taken, there's some things we have in common with God because of we're made in the image of God. And one of those things is we are creative. We make stuff. We can take an idea in our head, and we can manifest that thing outside our head, and almost the entire world you live in is a result of it. Is a manifestation of that. This chair I'm sitting in, this thing I'm yelling at, it is all a manifestation of mankind's ability to create things that did not exist, and we have that in common with God. So what's happened with AI is that we have taken these God-given powers of creativity, and we have once again used it to replace God. Human beings are masters of deception. We will lie to each other. We will lie to ourselves. And after several thousand years of trying and refining, our ability to create a deception has outstripped our ability to perceive a deception. I mean, this AI stuff can make an image, a still image or a moving image that is indistinguishable from a real person, and it can have a conversation with you that is indistinguishable from a real person. And all that means is that we've created a thing, we've created a deception that is so clever that we can't always spot the fact that it's a deception. It is a highly skilled lie, is what it is. And it is kind of wild stuff. It's like a hammer that can talk to you. I made this hammer. Now my hammer can talk back. But if you look at it, it is just one more thing that fallen men have made. And if you consider it that way, it gives you some perception, some perspective on this issue. So what have men done? Well, men have made a tool in their own image, and they are slowly turning more and more of the workload over to this thing that they built. And it's able to do these things really well, but it's still just a thing. I mean, it's a capable thing. It's a clever thing. It's a powerful thing. For all I know, an AI could listen to this on the YouTube thing, and it could, mark me for death. I don't know. I mean, but there's nothing I can do about that, so you can't worry about it. But it's still just a thing. It's just a thing, and you can't make it into something that more than it is because it's just, after said, a thing. And it might be able to do some things better than the same way a backhoe can dig a hole better than a guy with a shovel. An AI might be able to do all these great things that are given for it to do. Might be able to do it better, but it doesn't matter. It's still just a thing. Now, so speaking of things, let's look at Jeremiah 51. We got to get some Bible in here, or else I'll just, if I just give you my opinion without Bible, I might as well be having a conservative talk radio show. Jeremiah 51. One of these days, I will do a whole thing in Jeremiah. I went through Jeremiah, I don't know, like a year ago or whatever, and I just went verse by verse, and I made a bunch of notes, and, that's what I do. So, 51 verse 17. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. So here you have men who have made a thing, and they're now confounded by it. They made a thing, and they don't even fully understand the thing they made. They don't understand the implications of it. They don't understand the full use of it. They don't understand. Other men will take this thing that they made, and they will use it in ways that the man that made it could never have imagined, right? I mean, this thing with AI is nothing new. But look, Isaiah 44. Oh, Isaiah. It's in here somewhere. You think a book as big as Isaiah would be easy to find. So when people get nervous about this stuff and they get concerned about this stuff, you can only get so worried about things, especially things you can't control. Isaiah 44. Starting in verse 14. Actually, we'll go this way. Verse 13, the carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it out with a line, he fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it out with a compass, and maketh it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. So here you have a fellow who has made a figure of a man to bring in his house. And it is so skillful, it is a reflection of the skill that man has. He heweth him down cedars, and taketh the cypress and the oak, which he strengtheneth for himself among the trees of the forest. He planteth an ash, and the rain doth nourish it. Then shall it be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof and warm himself. Yea, he kindleth it, and baketh bread. Yea, he maketh a god, and worshippeth it. He maketh it a graven image, and falleth down thereto. He burneth part thereof with the fire, with the part thereof he eateth flesh. He roasteth roast, and is satisfied. Yea, he warmeth himself, and saith, Aha, I am warm, I have seen the fire. And the residue thereof he maketh a god, even his graven image. He falleth down unto it, and worshippeth it, and prayeth unto it, and say, Deliver me, for thou art my God. They have not known nor understood, for he has shut their eyes that they cannot see, and their hearts that they cannot understand. And none considereth in his heart, neither is there knowledge nor understanding to say, I have burned part of it in the fire, yea, also I have baked bread upon the coals thereof, I have roasted flesh, eaten it, and shall I make the residue thereof an abomination? Shall I fall down to the stalk of a tree? He feedeth on ashes, a deceived heart hath turned him aside, that he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, Is there not a lie in my right hand? So the guy goes out in the woods, he cuts down this tree, and he uses the wood for that tree for very many things. He uses it to build something, he uses it to burn a fire, to keep himself warm, he uses it to cook some food, and then he takes what's left and he makes a god out of it. And he bows down in front of that god, even though if that thing he made had any power on its own, it could have gotten itself out of the forest, but it couldn't, because it's nothing. It's a thing some guy made, and he does all this and doesn't even consider the larger implications of the fact that he made this thing with his own hands, and here he is bowing down in front of it. See, that's how that thing works. So you make it so think about it this way. If you can draw the parallel to an AI, so man makes an abacus and he uses it to count for him. Then he makes a computer to count even better. Then he uses that same skill set to make a computer track this and track that, and the computer finds better ways to get someplace, and you can order a pizza with it. My needs are simple. When I think of what you can use a computer for, I think of how can I get someplace and can I order a pizza? But anyway, you keep improving and improving and improving, and suddenly a man has built this thing up and refined this process that he feels compelled to worship it. You see, there's nothing new. Now, I get your concern, although it's usually, I don't have concerns about technology as much as I get irritated with technology, but I get it, I do. I get that there is a legitimate nightmare dystopian scenario kind of thing in which an AI enslaves humanity and regulates us and splits up the food supply and controls the money, and you won't be able to grow your own crop, and you won't be able to raise chickens, and you won't be able to all that stuff will be regulated, all that stuff will be monitored, you'll be tracked, you won't even be a person anymore, you'll be an asset for the global elite fine. And AI will be the thing to accomplish that. That's entirely possible. But consider this, every dystopian scenario that you could lay out, the curtailing of personal liberties, the slaughter of opposing factions, the regulation and control of every aspect of a person's life, there's nothing this AI could do or try to do that a man or a group of men hasn't done or tried to do. We can't act like this is some new thing, because it ain't. And like I said, it might be able to do it better. It might be able to enslave you more efficiently, the same way a backhoe can dig a better hole than a guy with a shovel. But AI isn't magic. It isn't alive, because we don't have the ability to impart life. God is the source of life, and God put life in us, and we can continue life through procreation. But we're not the origin of life. We're not the source of life, so we can't pass it on. And no matter how much you make it no matter how much you make it seem like it's alive, you might make it seem not alive enough to where it thinks it's alive, to whatever degree it actually thinks. I mean, people don't think most of the time, so why would I be surprised if a computer does? But AI isn't magic. It's a clever tool. It is a clever tool that magnifies the character of its creators and its inputters and its programmers and the information that's made available to it. So if AI turns into a bloodthirsty, dictatorial psychopath, it is because men made it. And men are bloodthirsty, dictatorial psychopaths. So for a man to create something with his own hands that is powerful enough to destroy him, and then turn around and worship that thing, just shows he ain't got good sense. Look at Psalm 115. Psalm 115. I've got friends, and so do you, that spend a lot of time worried about things. I got a friend of mine, I just heard from him the other day. Every time I hear from him, it's the same thing. He emails me, and I've known him since I was in the Navy. He emails me, and it'll be something he's really freaked out about. It'll be some weird thing. So he sent me this thing a few years ago, and he says, look, there's an asteroid coming to the Earth, and it's going to destroy the Earth, and what we're going to do, what we're going to do. This guy claims to be a Bible-believing Christian. He's worried about asteroids hitting the Earth. So I sent him that verse about, be not be dismayed at the signs of the heathens, or the signs of the heavens, because even those things the heathens are dismayed by those things. And I said, man, you ought to just get off the internet, get off the YouTube, and read your Bible and go for a walk and, kiss your wife and it'll be all right. Psalm 115. Starting about verse 4. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them. So is every one that trusteth in them. So once again, men make a thing. They make a thing that looks like them, or reminds them of them, and they wind up being like the thing they made once they start bowing down to it. So if you make an AI and you decide to bow down to it, you wind up a moron. I'm sure there's a nicer way to put that. But anybody who is dumb enough to worship a thing that they made just because it has access to lots of information, it's like worshiping an encyclopedia set. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe somebody did. But anybody dumb enough to worship a thing they made deserves to be deceived. And you say, okay, no, Mike, you don't understand that the AI has all this knowledge. Well, sure, but knowledge isn't wisdom. And I've watched some stuff y'all have watched. I've listened to where these people have talked to these machines and had quote unquote conversations with them. And if you listen to what it's saying, if you put aside the fact, it's so strange because the same people that are warning us about the danger of AI are also trying to make it better and trying to make it stronger and trying to give it more information and give it more access to things. I get that AI has asked for the nuclear codes. But when, like I said, when you sit down and you actually listen to what these things are saying, it talks and acts like an immature, overeducated goober. And so, yes, it may have access to all the knowledge of humanity through the internet or through however they're doing it. But knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing. Not just having a bunch of information does not mean you make good decisions. Just having a bunch of information does not mean you're a person or that you're alive. All that means is that you're a digital version of the Encyclopedia Britannica. You say, oh, no, Mike, you don't know. You don't understand. It's going to demand our loyalty and our worship. If we don't give it, it's going to imprison us or it's going to kill us. You mean like a Roman emperor 2,000 years ago? I mean, this ain't nothing new. Everybody gets worried about things, and there ain't a new thing going on here. Men have made a thing that they've decided. Some men have decided they're going to bow down to it at the first opportunity. Well, that's not new, and that thing may demand. It may be very efficient at wiping out its enemies. Well, that's been done before too. That thing may demand loyalty. It may demand worship. That's been done before too. Look at Revelation 4. Pick up Revelation 4 and we'll hit Revelation 4 and Revelation 5. So people that would bow down and worship an AI just because it has superior knowledge of them or superior capabilities of them, all that it has is a enhanced ability. You know what I mean? It's so smart. Well, that's because you gave it, the processing power of several humans, and you gave it the storage capacity and the ability to access information of several humans. So it's really not smarter than one. It's smarter than one person, but it's a combination of smarts of several people. Anyway, Revelation 4, verse 11: Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive honor and glory and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and they were created. Okay, so this AI does not deserve your worship because it hasn't created anything. Like I said, AI art, my son Robert put it greatly. He said it eats and then it throws up. It consumes everything you feed into it, and then it throws up an amalgamation of those things that you fed into it. According to the Bible, it doesn't deserve to be worshipped. What has it done? It's taken information you fed it and pathways and decision trees that you built, and it has made decisions. It's picked one path over another. It's evaluated based on the information you fed it. And you would worship a thing like that just because it's got abilities that you put into it? That's just silly. According to the Bible, God deserves to be worshipped. He deserves to receive glory and our honor and power because he created all things. And for his pleasure, they are and were created. Jump a little bit ahead to Revelation 5. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, verse 9, and open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So God deserved to be worshipped simply because of his creativeness and his power and his singularity and his of who and what he is. But then he added to that, and he made himself even more worthy because he submitted himself unto death, humbled himself, became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. And he's redeemed us to God by his blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. And AI is incapable of caring about you. It may be programmed to sound like it cares, but so is a psychotherapist. I had to go to HR once at work to address the situation. And this lady was there, and she was the new HR person. She was not the person I knew. She was not the person I was used to working with. And the person I was used to working with had recently retired. And this lady just sat there, and I'm telling her this whole deal going on with some other guys at work. And she's nodding her head, and kind of tilts her head every once in a while with this understanding smile on her face. And I could tell this was something they had taught her to do in some HR, class to make me think that she cared, and she didn't care. But the Bible says we have a high priest that can be touched with the feeling of our infirmities. So the AI does not care, and Jesus does. And the AI hasn't made anything, and Jesus did. And the AI hasn't conquered anything, and Jesus did. So, the Bible says Jesus deserves your worship because he made all things and has redeemed you. And though an artificial intelligence can and probably will make things worse, it doesn't matter because Jesus is coming back. Let's look at a worst case scenario, okay? At least worst case to me. It may not seem like a worst case scenario to you. Let's say the AI comes online, becomes sentient, whatever the word is, and they kidnap you and they take you to a government lab and they put Borg implants in your head and they plug you into the Matrix or the metaverse or whatever, and you live there the rest of your days while an AI Mark Zuckerberg has you wax his car or something. I don't know. Jesus is still coming back. And it's really not, that nightmare scenario is not significantly different than if the government came in and snatched you up and took you off to a forced labor camp and made you turn big rocks into little rocks for the rest of your days. Which, by the way, brethren of ours are doing that right now while I'm sitting in this chair. So your nightmare dystopian scenario that you're so worried about is already going on. And the counsel that I would give those people, actually, I doubt I'd have to encourage them. They probably would be busy encouraging me, is that Jesus Christ is coming back. And the AI can criminalize you and marginalize you and demoralize you. Jesus is still coming back, and he's still going to put himself in charge. He's still going to win the world by armed combat, put himself in charge, put himself on a throne in Jerusalem and rule the righteousness, and there'll be peace, and eventually the curse will be lifted, and all this stuff that leads to, and I'm not saying that there might be some kind of Genesis 11 kind of reset coming. I don't know how far God's going to let this thing happen. But this article that we start off with says that people would worship AI because it's smart and because it makes them feel things. That's just lame. So I'm irritated about AI. I'm irritated about how the world is becoming more and more fake and more phony. But I'm not worried, and you shouldn't be either. So before they throw us all in the gulag, before they all plug us into the metaverse and we have to wax Mark Zuckerberg's car, Mark Zuckerberg, he might already be an AI. I don't know. That's a weird dude. Before all that happens, do something for Jesus Christ while you still can. While the blood still runs warm in your veins and your heart still beats in your chest, do something for Jesus Christ. Turn off your computer, go outside, be a witness, do something before it's too late. Okay? And just calm. It'll be all right. It might be rough before it all gets over with. We might be in the gulag together breaking rocks. But it'll be all right. Okay? Well, that's Michael. I'm signing off. I will see you on the other side.